I'm just thanking God for so much. And big shout out to Pastor Watson. And we was talking the other day on this New Age church, and we like to call it the New Age church because from somewhere we done went wrong and forgot about our older saints. You know, we're so caught up now in a lot of churches on this New Age church. And what I mean by that is we change. And there's nothing wrong with change, don't get me wrong, because I love to see the praise dancing and I love to see the praise team and the choir and everything. But sometimes you got to remember about the old folks too, because a lot of times we have gotten so caught up in the new music that we forget about those songs that brought our mama and our grandmamas through, even us through. Them songs like I Need Thee, oh, you know, Father, I stretch my hands at thee. You know, we got to bring those songs back because I play them a lot. One thing I never do is forget about the old saints in the church, because they come to church every Sunday and they watch it. They watch you every Sunday. They watch me. You know, we do what we do. And it's more for young people in the church nowadays, and I understand that. But you got to remember, sometimes you got to go back to the old landmark. We done got to a point where we done forgot about our older saints in our church. And that's why at our church we try to keep it old school and new school, especially on first Sundays. You know, you got to remember change is good, but you got to remember also you got older people in the church. Sometimes them older people want to hear their songs. They want to hear that Amazing Grace. They want to hear those songs that brought them through their hard times. You know, because man, if it wasn't for our older people, we all know about big mamas and grandmas and see now they going on and going on, they leaving us. And we, even to the ones that still here, we can't forget about them. And I'm just here to encourage y'all musicians. Sometimes just dedicate a Sunday to your church, to your older people. That's what I love about my home church. They have a senior saints choir. They have a senior saints Sunday, and it's just beautiful because them senior saints get to have their way. Think about it. You got 4 Sundays in the month, sometimes 5. You know, what's wrong with giving one of the Sundays to the senior saints? Because we are here breathing right now, but we don't know when we are leaving. And as for the older people, they love to hear their songs. I don't know about y'all, but I love to hear that old deacon go out front and pray. I love to hear them older saints when they get up and tell their stories and testify about the goodness of God, those stories that brought them through and the stories that brought some of us through. Because if they didn't install it in us, and we done got to the point where we trying to leave out the old folks, you can't do that. That's what I love about the Bible. You got the Old Testament and the New Testament. And you should have old school church and new school church, because I say change is good. That's why I say I'm not knocking praise team. I love praise team, but I also love the old school music. Ain't nothing wrong with hearing This Little Light of Mine or Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, Since I Laid My Burdens Down. We done tried to get away from that. Ain't nothing wrong with having devotion, because there are still some people in the church that want to hear that. It shouldn't always just be praise team this, because a lot of times the older people don't even understand what we are singing or playing nowadays, because you got so much music and the music has changed so much that sometimes they just sit there with their arms folded and be wondering, you know, what's going on. But still, they support each other and they still there. That's what I say. Don't forget about the old people, man. We cannot forget about the old people. I miss my grandma so much, because my grandma, when she would go to church, see, you remember back in the day when you just had an old beat-up piano that was out of tune. You didn't have no drum set. You didn't have all these electronics and things. Now, you had a hardwood floor with a washboard, and them sisters were coming up with them heels on and stomp that floor, clap their hands, get their tamarines, and had some of the best church. But now we got technology that's just taking over. I'm just here to say, don't forget about the old people. Change is good. Stay with the new and with the old. Because a lot of old people like change, but a lot of old people don't. And we can't tune them out. My grandma would get up every Sunday and sing this old song called My Soul is a Witness for My Lord. And they used to try to cut my grandma off. But see, you can't cut off the old people. Don't forget about the old people. Remember, change is good. Ain't nothing wrong with the little kids praising and we having the dances and all that. But for real, let's get for real with this. We got to reach the old too. We got to stick with the old and the new. This New Age church, that's why we call it New Age church, because you should have never got to a point where you got to have somebody to come to church and pump you up. That's what the praise team do a lot, because a lot of services are so dead that we got to pump people up with the praise team. What happened? Why did it ever get like that? I'm not knocking praise team because I love it. Nothing wrong with having praise team because we have praise team, but still, What happened to people coming to church already fired up? Fired up and not worrying about nobody having to, oh, y'all get up and stand on your feet. Sometimes I love to just go to church and hear that old man on the ground just praying and praying, praying like there was no tomorrow. And then bust out with one of them old songs. You know, guide me over thy great Jehovah. We can't get away from that, y'all. That's what brought us to where we is today. So don't tune the old people out. And don't get so caught up on the new age church. And I just got to say new age because in this century, that's what it is now. It's more of praise service. And it's more of, you know, it's more of new songs, you know. But we done forgot about our old people. That's what I say. Big shout out to my man, Pastor Dewey Smith. Pastor Smith, Dewey Smith always go back to those old songs. Near the cross. You know, at the cross where I first saw the light. You can't forget about stuff like that. So remember the older people. Because a lot of our old people are already gone to be with the Lord. And our time is already short. Not just old people, but all of our time is short. And so you should want to do something for the older people. Don't forget about them. And I'm just here to encourage and tell somebody and remind them, if it wasn't for the old generation, them big mamas, them grandpas, them grandmas, where would we be at to this day? Because they didn't have to have all this technology to make a joyful noise. You can make a joyful noise all by yourself. That's why I don't have to have nobody praise with me. I'm from that old school. I love old school. That's why I'm like I am. I love old school. Old school had a lot of wisdom, and it teaches you how to be right. You know, that's why you can't forget about the old people. I love the old people. I love to sit down and go visit them and sit down in the room and talk to them just to get that wisdom because they got so many stories that can help you in your life. Where we are going, they done already been there. So don't ever get to the point where we tuning out our older people, our elders. Man, we need them just like they need us. You know, and I know it be hard sometimes because some older people, they don't like to change, but you just deal with it. Because sometimes we change so much that we forget about them. That's why I say it shouldn't be about you always want to play new stuff, and the new stuff is good, but I always go back to the old stuff. Give the older people something to come to church for too, because they sit there and support you and watch you every Sunday while you're doing your thing. So if you can, give them a Sunday. I know it's impossible for a lot of churches to do this, but because I visit a lot of churches, and I always got to say this, especially when I go down in the country. Don't forget about the old people. They need to hear it. They got to remember what brought them through a lot. We all got God in us, but just think about how you feel when you hear your favorite song come on. You know, it might be something about Dwayne Woods or John P. Key or Fred Hammond, Hezekiah Walker. You remember what your song is, but think about how they would feel if they hear their song. Because sometimes music brings us over with the help of God. Because if we didn't have music, where would we be? So don't forget about the old people. And don't get so caught in the new age church. Keep it old and keep it new. Balance it out. Because we got to keep it evil. We got to keep, not evil, we got to keep it equal in our church. Balance your church out. Don't just get caught on the new age. Remember the old age church. Remember them pray for me songs like pray for me at the altar. Come on, man. I need the old. We can't block those songs out. Never. Them songs will never get old. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. What can wash away my sins? See, I like that old school stuff. Don't forget about the old people. Remember, keep it old and keep it new. God bless you.